How do you know if God is actually working on your love life, or if you're just waiting for nothing? You've been praying, believing, trusting, but there's no person in sight. No dates, no prospects, no signs that anything is moving. And you're starting to wonder if God even cares about this area of your life. But what if I told you that God is already positioning your soulmate right now? And there are clear signs you can recognize if you know what to look for. Sign 1. You've stopped desperately searching. When Isaac was 40 and still unmarried, he wasn't running around trying to find a wife. Genesis 24 shows us something remarkable. Isaac was in the field meditating when Rebekah arrived. Verse 63 says, "He went out to the field one evening to meditate, and as he looked up, he saw camels approaching." He was seeking God, not desperately seeking a spouse. This is one of the clearest signs God is positioning your soulmate. You've stopped the frantic search. You're no longer obsessively swiping on dating apps. You're not forcing connections that don't flow naturally. You're not settling for attention from people who don't align with your values. Instead, you've reached a place of peace where you're content with God while remaining open to what He brings. This isn't resignation, it's maturity. Isaac had reached a point where he trusted his father Abraham to send the right person. He wasn't passive, but he wasn't desperate either. He was simply faithful in his daily life, seeking God and letting God handle the timeline. When you can pray about your future spouse without anxiety, when you can attend another wedding without bitterness, when you can be genuinely happy for couples without comparing your situation to theirs, that's a sign. God is doing something in you that's preparing you for what He's doing in them. Sign 2. Past relationships are finally making sense. Joseph spent years in slavery and prison, and during that time, he had no romantic relationships. But when he finally became second in command of Egypt, Genesis 41 verse 45 records, Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphanath-Paneah and gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, to be his wife. Asenath came at the right time, with the right background, in the right season. Looking back, Joseph could see why no relationship worked during his slave and prison years. Those relationships would have complicated God's plan. They would have attached him to the wrong season. They would have anchored him in a place God was moving him from. The closed doors weren't rejections, they were redirections. When you start seeing your past relationships differently, that's a sign. You're no longer bitter about what didn't work out. You're grateful for what God protected you from. You can look at that person you once begged God for and thank Him for saying no. You understand now that they weren't wrong. They were just wrong for you. And that understanding means you're developing the discernment you'll need to recognize the right one when they come. Genesis 50 verse 20 records Joseph saying about his painful past, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done." When you can say that about your romantic past, when you can see God's hand in the heartbreaks, the closed doors, the relationships that ended, you're being positioned to receive what's next. Sign 3. God is developing specific character in you. Before Ruth met Boaz, she made a choice that revealed her character. When Naomi told her to return to Moab and find a new husband, Ruth said in Ruth 1 verse 16, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God." She chose loyalty to God and family over security in a relationship. That choice revealed character that Boaz would later notice. Ruth 2 verse 11 records him saying, "I've been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother in your homeland and came to live with the people you did not know before." Boaz wasn't attracted to manipulation or pursuit. He was drawn to character that had been tested and proven. Right now, if you're noticing God developing specific character qualities in you, that's a sign. Maybe He's teaching you patience through delays. Maybe He's building your faith through financial pressure. Maybe He's developing your capacity for forgiveness through betrayal. Maybe He's strengthening your boundaries through toxic people who revealed what you won't tolerate. These aren't random life lessons. They're specific preparation. The patience you're developing will be needed in marriage. The faith you're building will carry you through hard seasons as a couple. The forgiveness you're learning will be essential when your spouse fails you. The boundaries you're establishing will protect your relationship from outside interference. God is customizing your character for the specific person He's bringing, and they're being prepared for you the same way. Sign 4. Your standards have actually increased. Jacob worked 7 years for Rachel, and Genesis 29 verse 20 says those years seemed like only a few days to him because of his love for her. But here's what's interesting. When Laban deceived him and gave him Leah instead, Jacob didn't just accept it. He confronted Laban. He knew what he wanted. He knew the difference between settling and receiving what was right. Then Jacob worked another 7 years for Rachel. 14 years total. Why? Because she was worth it. Because his standards didn't drop just because the wait was hard. Because he knew the difference between the right person and the available person. When your standards increase during a season of singleness, that's a sign God is positioning your soulmate. You're not lowering your requirements out of loneliness. You're not compromising your values because nobody's perfect. You're not tolerating disrespect because at least they're interested. Instead, you're becoming clearer about what you actually need in a partner. Not what you want, but what you need for the calling God has on your life. You're no longer impressed by surface things. Looks matter less. Status matters less. Even chemistry matters less. What matters now is character, spiritual maturity, alignment with your values, and compatibility with your calling. You're not being picky, you're being wise. And that wisdom is a sign that you're ready to recognize the right person when they arrive, because you'll no longer be distracted by the wrong ones. Sign 5. You're being positioned in new places. Ruth 2 verse 3 records something that looks like coincidence, but was actually divine positioning. As it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz. As it turned out, Ruth didn't strategically choose Boaz's field. She was just faithfully doing what she needed to do, gleaning to provide for herself and Naomi. But God positioned her in the exact right place at the exact right time. If you've been relocated recently, new job, new city, new church, new social circle, that could be God positioning you. It might feel uncomfortable. You might not understand why God moved you from where you were comfortable. But positioning often requires relocation. God has to move you from where you were where they are. Esther was positioned in a palace. Acts 16 verses 9 to 10 shows Paul being redirected to Macedonia, where he met Lydia and planted churches. Abraham's servant was led to the exact well where Rebekah would appear. God's positioning isn't random, it's strategic. And often, it requires you to be somewhere you didn't plan to be. If your life has shifted recently, if you're in a season of transition, if circumstances have relocated you, if you're in a new environment, don't dismiss it as inconvenience. It might be positioning. God might be placing you in proximity to someone you haven't met yet. Your future spouse might be in the city you just moved to, the church you just started attending, the job you just accepted. Stay faithful where God has placed you and watch for who He brings across your path. Sign 6. You're experiencing unexpected peace about waiting. Colossians 3 verse 15 says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts." The word rule means to act as an umpire, making the final decision. When God is positioning your soulmate, peace becomes the sign. Not excitement about every possibility. Not anxiety about the timeline. Peace. A deep, settled, unexplainable peace that says, God has this. I don't have to figure it out. This peace doesn't mean you don't desire companionship. It means you're no longer driven by the fear of being alone. Abraham's servant in Genesis 24 prayed for clear direction and then watched carefully. There was no panic, no rushing, just peaceful discernment. When Rebekah appeared and fulfilled every sign he'd prayed for, verse 21 says, without saying a word, the man watched her closely to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. That's peace with discernment. If you're experiencing peace about your singleness, even though you still want to be married, that's a sign. If you can wait without bitterness, trust without seeing, believe without evidence, That peace is God's confirmation that He's working. Anxiety says, I have to make this happen. Peace says, God is making this happen. When you transition from anxiety to peace, you're being positioned to receive what God is preparing. Sign 7. You're starting to dream again. After Hosea's wife Gomer betrayed him and was sold into slavery, God told him something that seemed crazy. Buy her back. Hosea 3 verses 1-2 records. The Lord said to me, Go, show your love to your wife again, though she is loved by another and is an adulteress. So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and about a homer and a lethek of barley. Hosea had a dream again after devastation. He had to believe in love again after betrayal. He had to open his heart again after it had been shattered. And God used that willingness to dream, to hope, to believe as part of his redemption story. If your heart is starting to open again after being closed, that's a sign. If you're beginning to imagine a future with someone even though you don't know who they are yet, that's significant. If hope is returning after a season of cynicism, God is healing something in you that needed healing before you could receive what's next. Dreams aren't denial, they're faith. When you can pray about your future spouse without fear, when you can plan for a shared future without anxiety, when you can hope without the terror of disappointment, you're being healed. And healed people recognize healthy people. Whole people attract whole people. Your ability to dream again means you're ready to receive what God has been protecting for you. Sign 8. Godly people are confirming something. When Abraham's servant found Rebekah and told her family what had happened, Genesis 24 verse 50 records their response. This is from the Lord. We can say nothing to you one way or the other. Even her family recognized God's hand in it. Proverbs 11 verse 14 says, Where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors there is safety. If godly, mature people in your life are starting to say things like, God is preparing something for you, or your season is about to shift, or I sense something significant coming in your love life, pay attention. God often confirms privately what he's doing privately through public voices you trust. This doesn't mean everyone will have a prophetic word for you. But if people who genuinely hear from God, who know you well, who want God's best for you, if they're sensing something is shifting, that's confirmation. Not one person, not random people on the internet, but the core people God has placed in your life who have proven they hear his voice. When they start confirming what you're sensing, that's significant. Sign 9. You're learning what real partnership looks like. Acts 18 verses 2-3 introduces Priscilla and Aquila. There he met a Jew named Aquila, a native of Pontus, who had recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla. Paul went to see them, and because he was a tent maker as they were, he stayed and worked with them. Every single time they're mentioned in Scripture, they're mentioned together. They worked together, ministered together, taught together, risked their lives together. If you're starting to understand that marriage isn't just about romance, but about partnership, that's a sign you're maturing. If you're recognizing that the right person will enhance your calling, not compete with it, that's wisdom. If you're seeing couples who actually build together and thinking, that's what I want, your vision is clarifying. God might be showing you examples of what he's preparing for you. That couple at church who serves together, that's a model. That married pair who actually pray together, that's a preview. That partnership where both people are growing, that's the vision. He's showing you what to look for so you'll recognize it when it arrives. Sign 10. The timing of your life is aligning. Joseph couldn't receive a senath when he was a slave. He couldn't marry when he was in prison. But when he stood as second in command of Egypt, Genesis 41 verse 45 records, Pharaoh gave Joseph a Senath daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, to be his wife. The timing aligned. His position, his maturity, his readiness, everything came together. If pieces of your life are starting to fall into place, career stabilizing, finances improving, living situations settling, emotional health strengthening, that alignment might be positioning. God might be getting your life ready to add someone to it. Not because you need someone to complete you, but because you're becoming someone who can properly steward a relationship. Maybe you just finished school. Maybe you just got the job you've been working toward. Maybe you just moved into your own place. Maybe you just came out of therapy with breakthrough. These aren't just life events. They could be positioning events. God might be aligning the pieces so that when your person arrives, you're ready. Sign 11. You're getting specific instructions. In Genesis 24 verses 3-4, Abraham gave his servant specific instructions. I want you to swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that you will not get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I am living, but will go to my country and my own relatives and get a wife for my son Isaac. Specific instructions, not vague guidance, not general principles, specific direction about who and where. And the servant prayed for a specific sign in verses 12-14, not just any woman, but one who would water his camels. When Rebekah appeared and fulfilled that exact sign, he knew. If you're receiving specific promptings about your future spouse, not fantasies, but actual spirit-led direction, that's significant. Maybe God's been highlighting specific qualities you haven't valued before. Maybe he's been warning you away from specific red flags you used to ignore. Maybe he's been giving you specific peace about specific things. Specific direction means God is actively involved. Vague feelings could be anything, but specific instructions, specific confirmations, specific peace about specific qualities, that's God speaking. And when God speaks specifically about your soulmate, it means the timing is close. If you're seeing these signs, peace instead of panic, clarity about your past, character development, increased standards, new positioning, dreams returning, godly confirmation, understanding of partnership, life alignment, and specific instruction, God is positioning your soulmate. Not maybe, not possibly. He is. Keep trusting, keep growing, keep believing, because your story isn't over. In fact, the best chapter is being written right now. If this message encouraged you, like and subscribe for more truth about faith, relationships, and God's perfect timing. He hasn't forgotten you. He's just positioning you.